wildlife photography is changing faster than ever. And honestly, creating a great image today is getting easier. In fact, way too easy. You don't even need a camera anymore. But here's the thing, it's not just about AI. There are deeper shifts happening that are going to completely change the way we capture wildlife, the way we share it, and even the way people define what a wildlife photograph is. And I want to share some bold predictions with you today. But before I dive in though, here's a quick personal note from me. This video is a little bit special. It's actually the last time you'll see this setup behind me. I've been filming here since I started YouTube properly last year, right? Experimenting with gear, tweaking the lighting, setting into this background right here. And it's kind of bittersweet to say goodbye, but change is exciting. Just like wildlife photography is heading into a new territory, I'm also going to be moving to a new space, and I can't wait to share that new setup with you in the next video. So let's talk about the future. Where is wildlife photography really heading? And what might it look like in 5, 10, or even 25 years from now? So let's start with the big elephant in the room, because right now you don't even need to step foot into the jungle to make a wildlife photo. You can literally sit at your desk, type a prompt, and boom, you've got a tiger in golden light, maybe even smiling at the camera, with perfect fur detail and 0 mosquitoes biting you while you wait for the shot. AI is basically giving you the dream version of wildlife photography, minus all the sweat and mud and hours of disappointment that we wildlife photographers normally go through in the field. And that raises the question, will people still care if it's real? And honestly, I think yes. It's kind of like music. We still love live concerts even though auto-tune tracks exist. There's something electric about knowing that what you're seeing actually happened in that place, in that moment. And a photo of a bird that you actually trekked into the rainforest to capture, that hits different compared to an AI bird that's just pixels out of thin air. And here's where my prediction comes in. In the future, the question won't be so much, is this photo beautiful? Because let's be honest, beauty is cheap now. An algorithm can spit out beauty in seconds. The real question is going to be, is this photograph real? And that's where authenticity becomes the new currency in wildlife photography. Proof that you were there, that the moment actually happened, will be worth more than all the AI tigers in the world. Which brings me to my second prediction. Real encounters with wildlife are only going to become more valuable. Think about it. As the internet gets flooded with AI cheetahs doing backflips, people are going to crave the real deal. And the muddy boots, the mosquito bites, and the photo that came from actually being there. I wouldn't be surprised if in the future, every wildlife photo, every photo comes with some kind of a receipt, like verified GPS data, exact timestamps, and maybe even a blockchain certificate stamped across it saying, yes, this leopard was actually photographed in Kenya on this date by this person. Sounds a little bit sci-fi right now, but honestly, I think we're heading that way. And the photographers who can prove that their images are genuine, who can say, look, I was there, I witnessed this, I didn't bait it, I didn't fake it, those are the ones who are going to stand out. Authentic, honest, ethically captured wildlife photography might become the new gold standard. Prediction number 3 is the gear itself is about to make a huge leap forward. I mean, cameras already do some very incredible stuff. They can recognize eyes, track birds in flight, even back focus on tiny insects, but that's just scratching the tiny surface. Imagine this. In the near future, your camera might actually anticipate behavior. It could start pre-buffering shots just before a bird spreads its wings, or even predict when an animal is about to move. Basically like having a sixth sense built into your camera. And lenses are going to get lighter, sharper, and more affordable. So more people can jump into wildlife photography without needing to carry a small mountain on their shoulders or empty their wallets. Which is kind of ironic really, because when you think about it, the harder part of wildlife photography won't be getting a technically perfect shot anymore. The sharp, well-exposed image will almost certainly come to you. The real challenge, and the part that will separate great photographers from everyone else, will be the decisions we make before and after pressing the shutter. The storytelling, the composition, the ethics, that's where the skill and creativity will really matter. And prediction number 4, the rise of remote photography. Now, we're already used to seeing camera traps and drones doing some amazing work, but imagine the next generation. Tiny, silent drones that can follow animals without disturbing them, or fully autonomous rigs that capture incredible footage, while you're nowhere near the scene, maybe even while you're sipping coffee at home. The possibilities are quite insane, to be honest. We could see angles, behaviors, and moments that used to be impossible to photograph. But here's the tricky part, and this is where it gets a little bit philosophical, right? If you weren't there to press the shutter, is it still wildlife photography, or is it just data collection? Suddenly, the line between documenting and photographing starts to blur. And honestly, that's the part which makes the future so fascinating. We're going to have to rethink what it actually means to be a wildlife photographer. And that brings me to my fifth prediction. Ethics, I think, are going to take center stage. Wildlife photographers are already under the microscope. People watch how close you get, whether you bait the animals, whether you disrupt their environments, right? And I think this is only going to get more intense. It may be possible, I think, in the near future, that we start seeing stricter and stricter ethical codes, maybe even certifications or rules, kind of like how divers need a license to explore certain reefs. One day, maybe wildlife photographers might need proof of training just to work in certain parks or sensitive habitats. So I think that's a good thing, because the future of wildlife photography isn't just about getting that jaw-dropping shots. It's about respecting and protecting the animals we spend all this time trying to photograph. The photos we take should never come at the cost of the wildlife that we love. And finally, my sixth prediction is that wildlife photography is going to move beyond just still images, which if you were to look at the current digital landscape, it's kind of already moving towards that direction. Don't get me wrong, photos will always matter, right? But I think the real value is going to come from context, from the story behind the image. Think about it. Platforms like Instagram or TikTok are already making storytelling part of the experience. Maybe VR and AR are going to take it even further. Suddenly, the wildlife photographer isn't just someone pressing a shutter button. They are a communicator, a storyteller, maybe even a teacher. It's no longer enough to just capture a beautiful bird or a leopard. People want to understand the behavior, the habitat, the journey behind it. And the photographers who can combine stunning visuals with compelling stories, the ones who can make people feel like they were right there, experiencing it themselves, those are the ones who are going to define the next era of wildlife photography. And that's the part I'm most excited about. So, where does all that leave us? If making technically great photos is only going to get easier, then the real challenge and the real opportunity is in what comes next. Authenticity, ethics, right? Storytelling, connection. Wildlife photography isn't dying, it's evolving. And as photographers, we get to decide how we adapt. Will you lean on new tools? Will you double down on your raw authenticity? Will you find your own balance? I would love to hear your predictions to where you think wildlife photography is heading. Drop a comment below, because this isn't just my future, it's all of ours. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in a brand new setup in the next video. Remember to like and subscribe to see more content around wildlife and wildlife photography, and you can also support my channel by buying me a cup of coffee, link in the description down below.